I found this dog about a couple of weeks ago on the street. She had just given birth, you could tell, and she was very, very underweight. And my wife and I had to chase her for over an hour to finally get her and to bring her to a shelter for her to get medical care here in Milwaukee. It's law that you have to bring it into domestic animal control so that they can scan her for a chip, etc. And after we did all of that, at the end of the day, my wife said, "Well, I don't mind having sacrificed a day for this dog." And when she said that, she meant that day she couldn't get anything done because the whole day was spent dealing with this dog, capturing this dog and taking care of it and seeing about its next steps. And I asked her, really? This is a sacrifice? This is a day wasted of sorts? This is a day not taken full advantage of when an animal has been saved, after all, a life worth saving, because she was certainly not on a good path. She was, as I said, severely underweight, and she was not really going to make it on her own. And no one else, even though she was walking around in the city, no one else was paying any attention. It was just a street dog. So it really took someone who loves animals, someone who loves dogs, to chase after her for such a long time until she finally got tired and gave up, because obviously she doesn't know who we are and she's scared. And it sort of made me think more about what I've been thinking for many months now, what leisure is and what work is, and how we feel guilty when we're not engaged in what we call work, which is maybe to go into an office or into some sort of workplace and to just clock in, clock out, or to get a lot of things done around the house, a lot of cleaning, that sort of thing we can think of as productive as well. But certainly anything that would contribute to a career, anything that would make our standing in society higher and our financial income better, is generally considered work. And everything else is just a recuperation, a break, a pause from that work. So naturally, we feel guilty when we take what we perceive to be too long of a break, too long of a pause, and if we rest from our work for too long. But what would have been the point of seeing this dog out on the street, clearly not able to fend for itself and not able to survive for perhaps much longer, and to just ignore it, to just drive by it like most other people, well, all other people did up until that point? What would have been the point to go about our day, to go into work, to please an employer, or even if it's your own business, to please the demands of that work, or even to just go grocery shopping, to get a project around the house done? What would be the point of any of that if we did not have the compassion, if we did not have the courage to take on what is undeniably still a project? What would be the point of feeling that empathy, of seeing a life in need and to just drive past it because of convenience, because of satisfying our own notions of what a productive day is, what a proper day is, what a good day is, what a work day is? And I talked to you before about what I call the work of life. The work of life is not what we do 9 to 5, or is not what we do necessarily what we pay bills with. The work of life is to become the person that we know we need to be. And to put it in maybe a little bit less concrete terms, to understand the universe, to understand the life that we live, or just to ask questions about it, to wonder about it, to think of things bigger than ourselves and to think of things higher than ourselves, and to not be stuck in this thought, day by day thinking of just paying bills and making sure that we make a living. The work of life is to understand life, to what people like our friends Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca would call really a proper human life, a life lived according to nature. And of course, when they say nature, they mean human nature, what makes us particularly human, not what we share with inanimate objects or other animals or other life forms, but that which makes us uniquely and specially human, which is reason, our rationality, and our virtues, because animals, plants, other things really don't have virtues in the same sense. They don't think of courage, justice, honesty, all these things as a concept. We at least have the capacity as humans to live for these things for their own sake and not just as a means to an end. And that's the work of life. How can I become more honest? How can I become more just in my relations and to the world? How can I become kinder? How can I be more empathetic? And how can I face death? Epictetus says, to learn how to live is to learn how to die. To overcome the fear of death, to overcome any fear, and to focus on our proper human nature and all the things that make us uniquely so. When we go to work and we come back, we might have done an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift, a 16-hour shift, whatever it may be, whatever job it may be, whatever occupation and goal we had. And if we come home and that's all we did, even though we're tired, we're exhausted, we're done, we're spent, we haven't clocked in to the work of life yet. We spent all day supposedly working, but we did nothing for the work of life. And so again, when it comes to leisure and when it comes to feeling guilty about not working on a day or in a certain instance, there's nothing to feel guilty about not working. There is, however, something to be felt guilty about if we're not engaging in the work of life. If we have the time, the means, and just the mindset to do so, and we choose to be not at leisure, but at idle, sloth. If we decide to do that, yes, that is something shameful, and that we rightly should feel guilty about. But again, without the work of life, what is the point of any other work? What is the point of having a great career, being a fantastic pilot of sorts, being able to navigate the entire world on a very highly technical, skilled level, but not being able to navigate one's own life, one's own heart, one's own emotions, one's own meaning in life? What is the point in having a great career in finance or in law if we cannot account for our own thoughts, for our own ideals, if we cannot live for something? Or again, a career in law if we can't even be just to those around us, if we don't even know what justice is as a concept in real life, even if there was no other human around, if it was not available to us as a career. What is justice then? And how can we practice it every single day without even anyone knowing? Integrity is not acting one way or another. Integrity is acting the way you know you should be acting even when no one's watching. And no school can teach you integrity. No school can teach you justice. No college, no university can teach you courage or honesty, especially to practice and exercise these things when no one's looking, when you know no one's ever going to know what you did one way or the other. So we see there's no point in any endeavor in life if it's not informed by the work of life. If we're not a whole person, if we don't have our priorities, our ideals, our virtues in place, how much would I love to get on a plane and to know that my pilot is engaged in the work of life and that he or she looks at their work not just as transporting someone from A to B and to do it properly to advance in their career or to show their superior how good they are or to impress their friends with their next title and their honors and awards, whatever they may be, but someone who's concerned with me as a human, who knows that they're flying an instrument, a vehicle full of hundreds of human lives, and to think of them not only as passengers, but as human beings with which they now have a relationship with as their pilot, even if it's for a short time, and to treat them justly, and if the situation arises, is brave for them and sacrifices for them and has gone through all these scenarios, not emergency scenarios, but scenarios of life. How much would we all love to know that our pilot is like this, that the lawyer, the people that we come across in the justice system and the finance system and in any part of life, if they had not only their career as a priority, not only the career ladder and their finances, their making a living, their degrees, their titles in mind, but if they had us as humans and themselves as humans in mind, if they looked at the world not only as building to building, title to title, job to job, but as a part of a whole, as a part of a universe in which money is such a new phenomenon. It's a blip in not only human history, not only in Earth's history, but in the history of our universe as a physical space. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Career is a concept so new. Social rank is a concept so new. And it doesn't exist, as far as we know, in most of the universe. These are concepts that we made that we think are important. And don't get me wrong, they can be pursued. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, it is right for a human being to pursue a career, to pursue worldly success if that's what they wish, and to pursue all the standards of living that they want for themselves and the people they provide for, that they care for, that they want to provide for. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it's proper to human beings. But when it comes first, before everything else, it's a poison. And when it doesn't come first, when it's informed by the work of life, if it becomes a tool for the work of life, if a pilot uses their position to show their humanity, to live their virtues through that particular action, then it becomes great. And watch, not only do they become great people, but they become one of the best pilots ever around. The work of life informs everything, and if you give yourself over to it fully, Seneca says this is not me, Marcus Aurelius says this, Epictetus says this, many others say this. If you give yourself fully and completely over to this work of life, not expecting anything in return, but only doing it for its own sake, it will start providing for you, not only in terms of the virtues that we discussed to find meaning in life and to live according to it, but even all the things below, all the profane worldly things that we wish for, that we hope for, that we sort of prefer to have. It even provides those. Watch it, because someone with that kind of mentality, someone with the perspective of the entire universe, not just their little corner in the world, their little career path, their little successes and failures, and their little life even in general, if they have not that small perspective, but that grand perspective, really as grand as you can make it, There doesn't need to be a limit, but anything bigger than what people usually go about thinking all day about their jobs, their careers, their families, and their social standing, perhaps their health, their toys, their possessions. The larger you get, the larger a perspective you have than that, the better not only human being do you become, but the better anything you become in your job, in your relationships, for yourself, when you spend time with yourself. The anxiety, the worry that many have, it goes away. Or it's, like I said, it's minimized to the degree that you expand your perspective. And this is what philosophy is. Philosophy, as you know, means the love of wisdom. And it's not a goal, it's not an end destination. It's an aspiration. It's a road traveled. It's a journey. It's not about getting somewhere. The further you go, the more rewards you get. Each step in its own is a reward. And so I don't look at this dog as an impediment to my work. I don't look at it as an impediment to my productivity or to the next goal I want to achieve, either financially or career-wise. Because even though we're not looking to keep this dog, we want to foster it. But the domestic animal control in Milwaukee does not have a foster program. They ask you the first day, either you adopt this dog in a few days or it's going to go into the system. And because the system is so overwhelmed, it seems they're putting multiple dogs in a single kennel, and they just don't have the time and resources to look after each dog properly. And I just didn't know what would become of it, and it just didn't sit right for me to pick this dog up in the condition that it is on the street and then just leave it to a system like that, which is at best unknown, at worst, who knows. So we're just bringing her up to weight. She's, as you can see, her ribs there, she's very underweight, and this is her having gained a whole lot of weight still. And she was in much worse condition, and like I said, she just gave birth, it seems like. So we're just taking it easy, and yeah, she needs to be house trained. She needs all kinds of things, but it's not work because it exercised my patience. I had not had to train a dog for a long time since Layla. And it, we all have these silly ideas, again, egocentric, self-centric ideas of what will another dog do to my tranquility throughout the day, or it's a lot of work, it's a lot of this and that, and how can I get through that? And it makes you worry. But that's exactly where you need to catch yourself and stop yourself, and that's exactly what the work of life is for as well. So even a project like this, even something unexpected, and additional workload, additional responsibilities, and perhaps problems, it makes you see, again, the work of life helps you to see that in every disadvantage, there's an advantage. Yes, this is additional resources and time and effort spent on this dog now, very unexpectedly on top of that. But like I said, it exercises my patience, it exercises my empathy, and it's so far making me just a stronger human being, seeing that I can handle more than my worrying mind thinks that I can. And once it's done, once she is up to weight and she's healthy again, hopefully, and she finds her forever family, what a great thing. What a beginning and what an end. And that's all thanks to not shutting your eyes to the world, not just thinking of yourself, of your work, but of the work of life. And the work of life demanded that I did this, and it's not only a demand that it made on me, it also gave me so much more back. It's an opportunity for me to exercise my virtues, like I said, to learn them, to continue to be a student for them. And I wish that on all of you, and I'm going to recommend you a book on the idea of leisure. It's called Leisure, the Basis of Culture by Joseph. Let me see. Let me just go grab it real quick. Yeah, it's called Leisure, the Basis of Culture by Joseph Pieper. And it's a phenomenal book. If you have ever had this feeling of feeling guilty when you're not working, yet not really being very well aware that you're not really doing the work of life, that you're not working on becoming the person that you know you need to be at some point. If your regular day work is not contributing to that, and that's what will make you feel guilty. And this book really does talk a lot about that. It's very interesting, especially if you are reading Pierre Hadot, like I recommended in my last video, as well as Rene Girard. It's sort of the mix of the both in terms of some of the themes it talks about and how it talks about philosophy. And by the way, yes, it's a combination of two of his writings. The other one is The Philosophical Act. And The Philosophical Act is just another way of saying the work of life. Believe me, if you want, it's a very thin book. I think you can read this rather quickly, and it will do a lot for you in this regard. It really is a rabbit hole, and I hope you go down it.